It's Gabrielle here. Just an important trigger warning before we begin. We do reference suicide in this episode, and I know that can be distressing, so please look after yourself. It's around the part where we start talking about COVID. It does get positive again, but I just want you to be aware if that's something that you need to know. Also, it's really important that you look after yourself and your mental health. So if you need resources or support, please see the description for some links below. Welcome back to episode 4 of Tangents Are Relevant. This week we're celebrating International Entrepreneurs Day. We introduced our executive producers. We actually did a whole recording where we talked about all the small businesses we had as kids. We wore like suits and everything, and I lost all that data because I dropped my hard drive. So we've actually put together a new one now, and we learned a big lesson, and a huge part of being an entrepreneur is making it work. Hope you enjoy. Welcome everyone. Thank you for listening.
We've decided to include you in our weekly catch-ups. Every time we talk to each other, we feel so inspired and motivated, and we're really hoping to evoke that in you too.
Exactly. And even after 16 years of friendship and from different countries, every single time we talk, I am always reminded that I'm not alone in my journey.
And that as we walk the twists and turns of the creative path, the tangents always become relevant. Hello?
Hi! Okay, so I want to tell everyone about the day that we were chatting. I can't remember if it was we were recording or not. I was thinking that today this is going to become a problem. Have we talked about this or not? But anyway, we were chatting about me moving to France potentially at some point, and I was like, I am with child. What will I do? Oh. And then we looked it up, and
I was like, I was really confused then. I was like, what? Did you save this to announce on the internet?
I was like, why is she her face? You were like so shocked. I was like, what have I said? And then I realised, oh, not to normal people, that means a human.
I should have known, because the logistics of this would be, like, I feel like that's something you're going to have to plan, you know?
Totally. Yeah, well.
Yeah, the chances of you accidentally falling pregnant.
Yeah. Not great odds. But we were looking up how I could do it and what it would involve to get Moo Moo there. And I found out that in Europe, they have pet passports.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for any Australians who are listening, they have pet passports in Europe. I can't wait. I can't wait to get me a pet passport. I don't care how much it's going to cost me to get it there. It's worth it. It is worth it. It is worth it.
Get ready for the jealousy, because Louis became a French citizen within a number of weeks of arriving in this country. I sent off a form. I got a form back. French citizen.
You have been trying to do that for like 7 to 8 years.
He got on a boat.
That's unfair.
He had 2 injections. He didn't even fill out the form. I had to do that.
You know what? It's like dog years in reverse. It took him 7 to 8 days.
It's true. But I did use him when I had to put in my proof, like when I applied for my carte de séjour that I still don't have. I had to put in proof of having lived here and like been a resident for at least a year in France, and that I'm in a genuine relationship. And I was like, my partner and I brought my dog from the UK and made him into a citizen. Here is the paper. So Louis is part of my application to say I really live here, because it says he's a French dog from England.
If that is not commitment, I don't know what is, you know?
Exactly. Like, I'm not leaving, guys.
Honestly.
Give me a carte de séjour, because my dog is here. I'm not going anywhere without him. So
some people don't even take their human children places. You know what I mean? Like, that is actually legitimately proof. That's valid. That is valid. If you don't want to go anywhere, you've invested energy and time and money into getting your dog there. You're staying the long haul.
I wonder if it works, like, if, we're not going to break up, but if Val and I did break up, I wonder if I can put in an application, like the family visa. My dog is French. I'm committed to him. And can I stay?
You can't take me away from my child. I am with child.
Oh my God. I never thought I'd be this person. I never, ever thought I would be the girl who carries her dog around in her purse, whose entire world is about her dog. I became that person very quickly after you came into my life.
I never even thought I'd have a cat. But then this little tiny orb got handed to me one day and I was like, oh my God, okay, I'll look after it.
Yeah.
Here we are. 17 years later in a backpack at the pub.
That's right. Yeah. Backpack at the pub.
For those who aren't Australian listening, the pub is a bar. Do you say pub in Europe? Do they say pub?
They have pubs, but they're English themed. Because in France it's a brasserie or bar. You can say bar. Bar.
There we go. I have become so much more Aussie living in Queensland, tell you what. Like, my whole language has shifted. It's only been 4 years. That's okay, it's all right. I'm embracing the time.
It's been 4 years? I feel like you've been there for like 12 months.
I know, tell me about it. I left, it's COVID. I left during COVID. I know. Well, I guess it's not really, because I drove around for about a year. So I was in the van for a year, driving up and down Australia. So it's been 3 years, though, that I've been settled here. Settled?
So wait.
Settled? I've lived in like 6 places. So settled.
Really settled in here. But in Queensland?
It's most settled for me.
So when I came to visit you in Elwood, was that before that was before the pandemic? That was 2020, wasn't it?
Yes, that was just before.
God.
Yeah. So it wasn't long after that the pandemic kicked in.
Yes, because you had bought the van and you showed me. It was literally like 2 days after you bought the van.
Yeah. And what happened was so I did 3 months of lockdown in Melbourne, which was crazy. And then I used that time to finish my degree because I had 2 subjects. One subject, I think, I hadn't done because I wanted to get my double degree. And so I had to, anyway, whatever, long story short, I had one subject, so I did it. So the time was productive. And then I started making sculptures and stuff. So I actually loved the lockdown. Lockdown, I know it sounds very disrespectful. I don't mean it in a disrespectful way, but I enjoyed the time to like do art. So then I took that and I thought, okay, I obviously want a studio and to be alone a bit more. Anyway, when the first lockdown released in Australia, they said, okay, you're allowed to go more than 5 kilometres out from your house now. And we didn't know how long it would be for. We organised to go to Byron Bay. So it was meant to just be a 2-week trip. But what happened was, I know.
It got gabified.
yeah. What happened was I was involved in the plan.
Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
Literally. But yeah, so a week in, Hunter calls me. It's like, if you come back, we're going to go, very high chance we're going to go back into lockdown. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just didn't go back.
Good on you.
That's it. Now it's been 4 years. I know. It's crazy. But it was fun. It's worth it.
It's a very interesting topic to raise, actually, because I hadn't really thought about this before, but I feel like you and I, the pandemic, despite the hard parts, because I personally, the pandemic was honestly one of the worst times of my life, not just because of the actual pandemic and COVID itself, but also what I went through during that period on a personal basis. But as an artist, it was the first time in my life where I didn't have to make any kind of excuses as to why I had chosen to not have a full-time legitimate job, because I couldn't. The industry that I had all my skills and experience in was shut down. It was shut down for nearly 2 years. I was trying to get a job, and like the millions of people in my industry, we were all applying for the same jobs, and only very few people were getting them because we were moving into an industry that already had skilled workers in it looking for jobs. So I just couldn't get work, which meant that my only option was pursuing my art and making my channel grow. And it was really refreshing to suddenly have no one asking me. People were like, wow, that's really ingenious that you're like trying to make the online thing work. Whereas before they were like, that's never going to happen. What an unrealistic dream. It was such a 360 and I think something really
huge
positive.
shift.
And I feel like some of that has hung on afterwards. A lot of people working 9 to 5 realize that they don't want to travel anymore to and from work, that they're wasting time, that they're overstressed, that there was no work-life balance. And a lot of people discovered other things they enjoy that they'd never had time to pursue when they were working full-time.
I think so too. You know what?
Yeah.
This ties in perfectly with what I texted you before we started saying for tonight, which was, Is It Cake on Netflix? Now, I don't know if you have seen this show or not, but oh my goodness, it's so fun. So episode 1, one of the bakers they're all amazing bakers, and they can make these cakes that look so much like a real thing that you don't know which one's cake or not. It's amazing.
Yes, I've seen this online, but I didn't realize it was a TV show. I thought it was just people doing TikToks and stuff.
Oh my gosh, it's a TV show with 3 seasons.
Oh my God.
And it's so much, it's like pure, creative, joyful, clean fun to watch. Anyway, episode 1, one of the bakers who's really talented, he's doing his chat to camera and his intro, and he says, I'm self-taught. I only started doing this because I'm painfully single, and during COVID, I had time. Ding. Yeah, that's what he does. He's decided to make videos of it, and that's what he does. So, and he was laughing at it. He's like, people are out there saving lives, and here I am making this cake look like a shoe. But no, he goes, here I am making cake look like other things that it's not. Like, or something, the way he worded it was funny. But yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, there's pros and cons to everything, and obviously a lot more cons than pros, but in terms of what we're talking about, which is being an artist and creative process, it's a really interesting one because it was really hard because I lost my job being I was full-time in film at the time. So all of our shoots got shut down, but I had no savings. And I'm still paying off debts from the landlord who wouldn't give me a break. And it was financially an absolute nightmare. And then I got robbed, wasn't insured, lost everything. So
I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, it was so hectic. I literally lost everything. I lost my job, I lost my house, I lost all of my possessions except my van. So I was and my camera, luckily I had my camera. But long story short is what I gained was same thing you're saying. It was hang on, being alone and having time to create without feeling guilty is everything. So since then till now, I'm I don't need to feel guilty, and I also don't need to tell anyone or justify what I'm doing to anybody. As long as I'm paying what I need to pay and eating well and looking after myself, the rest is up to me, and I can do what I want. And I don't have to tell anyone. I don't need to feel bad about it. And I learned that from that time, 100%.
Yeah, and
100%.
It sounds like being an artist and pursuing your passions actually was a saving grace in a way, because you were going through such a hard time and pursuing a way to let emotions out. I don't want to speak for you, but it's just so much of what you're talking about resonates with me. And it's interesting because during that time, I think because we were going through a difficult period, we didn't actually talk a lot during the pandemic. And also we'd caught up recently, I suppose. Also, we probably weren't as desperate for the connection with each other, having just seen each other. But I lost my industry shut down. I lost my job. Then the industry went away. Then my landlord bullied us and we ended up out of the house. Val and I got separated into two different countries, and we ended up ending the relationship because we just didn't know what else to do. We're we've been trying to make this work for a year of the pandemic and it's not going well. Not even just that the relationship wasn't going well, but logistically, we just couldn't make it work. We were from 2 different countries living in a different country. Neither of us were citizens in. None of the governments would help us. So we ended up jobless, homeless, without family, without friends, completely isolated. And I really found that going headfirst into being creative was it was the only thing I had left. A few people said to me oh, why don't you just become a telemarketer or something, get a job as a telemarketer? I was because YouTube is the only thing I have left. I've lost everything. Yeah. I'm I don't want to get really dark, but I was if I lose this, if I lose the creative element in my life, I'm not going to have anything left to hang around for. I'm not suggesting I was going to take my life.
That's right.
But
no, I was the same.
You got to have a reason to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, you're being honest. And it's hindsight's 2020. And the fact that when I look back, I went to painting and making art with my hands. And that's how I came upon all of the Bible stuff I've been doing, getting all the Bible pages and sculptures and stuff like that. And, dealing with basically no one can take it away from you. No one can stop you from creating. And it can also generate money. And that's how I made money. I'd do markets and I would busk and I'd paint and get people to give me money and I'd sell paintings. That's how I made, the only way I could make money during that time same as you, trying to apply for jobs at cafes and stuff. I got one at a cafe. I actually got one as a telemarketer at Telstra.
That's right, I'd forgotten that.
And I worked so hard because I was so poor and I was so desperate. So I'm like, okay. And I worked so hard. I did the like training program. I wore a ponytail, wore a suit, like corporate. And I did have these headphones, let's be honest. But look, whatever. After like what felt like eternity of me putting on a corporate costume and doing my best, they fired me. I've never been fired in my life. And they said I was the wrong fit for the job. And when they fired me, I was like, you know what? I am the wrong fit for complaints at Telstra. You're absolutely right. But I was so angry, like, because that was the lowest point I hit. I actually, and I don't want to get too dark either, but that was the lowest point. I had rang my brother and I was like, I think we need to like call the hospital. I need help. Like, I do not want to be on this planet if I can't even get a job in a call center, because like if I'm only an artist and I can't make money as an artist, and I was just like, what am I supposed to do, you know? But then of course, as life always turns out, it was exactly after that I started selling artworks and making more money. So you just got to push through those hard times because it's always darkest before the dawn.
It's true, yeah. And absolutely, I agree. And I think I remember for me, we should put a trigger warning on this episode, but like there was a period where Val he wanted to check on his family. I was alone in England and we went into a lockdown where we weren't even allowed to leave our apartments. I think I was allowed to go for a walk within a 1 kilometre radius, but I had to stay a really long way away from other people as well. Like there were police roaming the streets.
That was the same as Melbourne. Like,
no.
It was that's why I bailed on Victoria, and I'm so lucky that I got out because I was like making the most of it and everything. But even the most positive people I know, when I'd chat to them on FaceTime, like Thomas, were like drained of their life source. It was bad. And I remember we actually didn't, you're right, we didn't really talk during this whole time.
We did talk because I do remember like you sending me pictures and videos. I don't think we had like these kind of talks. I don't think we video called each other, but we did a lot of messaging.
And you sent me Uber Eats Luxa for my birthday and we had wine on FaceTime for hours. Do you remember?
I filled in, there was like, because they weren't letting people go to doctors' offices or the hospitals in the UK. It was, I can only think of forbidden. Interdit, I kept thinking the French word, which is a good sign for my learning French.
Oh, that's cool. That's a good sign. Yeah.
You weren't allowed to go unless you had COVID. So they were like, you cannot show up. You must fill in this online form. And I filled in the form saying like, I'm worried about my mental health. I think I need to see a GP, like maybe take some medication or talk to a therapist. And they would just kept writing, we consider you a serious risk. Please go to the ER. And I was like, I get that they were trying to say like, you know, if you're worried about your mental health, you should, and during this time you should go to ER and get professional help. However, we didn't have a vaccine yet. This was at the point where people were just dying left and right. Like, I don't want to, I'm already struggling with my mental health. I don't want to, and my problem was anxiety and stress. I'm like, I'm not going to a hospital. No. And secondly, how irresponsible to put, if you're struggling so much that they're worried that you might end your life, why would they put the onus 100% on you via the internet to go to the hospital? Like, I was like, I don't want to go out. I'm depressed. I don't want to leave the house. Like, and there's a pandemic.
It's because they're completely under-resourced. For everyone suffered so much mental health issues. They had not enough psychiatrists, psychologists, nothing. Yeah. During that time, my cousin, who's an artist, actually he left art school and studied nursing, and he's just graduated because he was like, there's not enough people working in this job. He's beautiful. But I can understand it because there was no psychologist available.
Yeah.
Like, what else can they recommend?
I would have appreciated, me personally, just dealing with a GP, just a phone call from the GP to say to me, like,
you couldn't even
if what they had said to me was you need to go to the hospital, to have a real person, because I just did a quiz and at the end it said go to the ER. That's it. And I was like, I knew I wasn't a risk. I was like, I'm not saying I'm actually going to do anything. I'm saying I feel really bad and me trying to be positive is not working. I need something else. I need to talk to someone or I need to go on an anti-anxiety med or a depression med. and nothing. It was just deal with it on your own or go to ER and potentially get COVID with that. And I was, I've grown up with very severe asthma and I get, these days I'm pretty good, but in the past I've had pneumonia and really bad bronchitis and things that put me at very high risk. And at the time they were advising that if you are high risk like that, don't put yourself in a situation where you could get COVID. So I was like, so I did nothing. I stayed at home. And honestly, the thing that saved my mental health was doing my art.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Me too. And I think it's really beautiful that a lot of people reconnected with their creative selves during that time. Yeah. Like whether it was through baking or, you know, painting or playing guitar or whatever, people had time and space again to actually remember that they're creative beings. And I think that's really powerful. And it's not what the government expected to happen. And like you know, I was working for Safari for years before COVID. So I hadn't worked anywhere but from wherever I wanted for years. And I was always like, it doesn't make sense to have to go to an office. It's just for control and power. Mm-hmm. Like unless it's a patient-facing or customer-facing role, why are you trying to control me? You know Absolutely. What I mean? So like I found like if it's, okay, this is the job you need to do, this is the date you need to do it by, and this is how much we're going to pay you. That's what a job is. Let me do it my way. Let me figure it out. And so I found jobs that would let me do that. So then over the last few years, watching everyone else discover that, I'm kind of like, yay.
Yes. Yeah. Welcome.
And we got there. Yeah, totally. But like the big corporates would hate it because they have lost control. And it's like people have time now during the day to play guitar and to join a band. And now they're like, oh, I actually don't want to work 85 hours a week because I like doing this and I want more time for this. And it's scary for them because they're going to lose all their slaves. So I love that. I love that about COVID.
I love that too. And I mean,
it's like the only good thing.
But like ultimately it was really positive for corporations because they discovered that they could actually trust their staff. I really think it was that they thought that people would be unreliable. And what they discovered is that 100%. People came to work earlier, they finished later because all they had to do was step in front of a computer screen. They didn't have to shower, brush their teeth, have breakfast, catch an hour-long train. They weren't exhausted just from getting to work.
Also saving money on travel.
Exactly.
Huge.
And like they found that the actual output of their staff went up so much as a result. I don't know the exact percentage, but I know that at least in England they were talking a lot about the fact that people's productivity went significantly up, but that also individuals said they technically worked more hours, but what they loved is that they didn't feel like their entire day was their job because they were traveling at the beginning and the end and then otherwise they were sleeping. They actually achieved something before work and after work, which meant when they were at work, they didn't feel so resentful.
Yeah. I think the overall lesson here is you can use 4 hours a day to do the same as what you're doing in 8 hours a day. The choice is up to you. Whether you're creative or working with others or working in an office or whatever, how you use your productive hours in a day do come down to you. Yeah. And whether someone's like whipping you in the back saying, do this or not, at the end of the day, we all know whether we're working at 100% or 50% or 40%. And it's like, even when I'm doing my own stuff, like today, I was like, okay, I had this big list of admin I needed to do. I did not do all of it. And if I was working for another company, I probably would have. Yeah. But I was like, I've got the freedom to relax a bit. I went to the beach, went for a walk. It was a beautiful day. Not a single bit of wind, like beautiful sun. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and get food. Went to the shops. And then when I got home, I only had like an hour of productivity. But in that hour, I managed to organize a new partnership, do 2 promo videos, and get my remittance advices out. Like all those things would take me forever, but I was so relaxed and I'd actually been, and I managed to fit an episode of Shameless in. So there you go.
Nice. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Like it's so much to do that your mood affects so much your output and your like desire to do work, you know?
Yeah. Willingness.
That's what I loved about the promo job when I worked for Polite Promotions. it was run by people who had created this business themselves. It was their baby, so they were really respectful. They also recognized their staff's worth, and I think it was the type of job they had to put complete trust in you. So they hired people who seemed very capable, because it was like, here's an email with a brief outline of the day. Go there and figure it out. And you better do great, because this client paid a lot of money. But that's all the help you get.
Yeah, you have to be good.
Yeah. And if you weren't good, they were like, you were bad and we're not booking you again. It was that simple. And I loved being trusted that much. And also it meant that when I did leave, like I moved overseas, I came back 10 months later and did 3 months work for them. And when I came back, they gave me 70 hours a week work after not working for them for 10 months. Because they had trusted me, and they knew, because they had been open enough to let me show them what I was capable of. They then knew that they could trust me. So when I came back 10 months later, they were like, yep, absolutely. We'll put 100% trust back in you again and give you a ton of opportunities, because we've let ourselves find out that you're worth the risk. And also, they got that working for them was not like my life's ambition. They were like, cool, you're here to make money. You're using us, we're using you.
Same perspective. It's like they know that it's a part of your life. And while they've got you, because you are smart and good and capable, they are grateful for that time. And that's how I feel when I work for the big group as well. Shout out to them, because they're amazing. And I'm still on their books. It's in Melbourne. It's Shika from Real Housewives of Melbourne. She owns the company. It is such a great company to work for. Same thing, like I can disappear up to Queensland for 2 years, come back, and then put me back on the books, and I'll be able to work, huge functions, doing great events, serving rosé, having a great time, getting paid above award rates, and they give you uniform, everything. Like you don't even have to think. You just walk in, be charming, have fun, and leave, and you get paid well and respected, and they don't expect anything. They're like, all they expect is when you're there, that you're good. But when, like, I can say I'm not available for the next 6 months, and they're like, no worries, or I can come there and they'll give me every single day if I want. And it's like, oh, it's heaven. These are the kind of jobs that while you're building your personal creative brand or business that you need to find. Like, it's unless you've got someone who will fund you, or unless you get funding, or unless you have money for whatever reason, then that's fine. Go hard. But if you need to work for a little while, there's nothing wrong with that. So, but you just need to, it's an extra challenge, because you've got to balance your energy levels. You've got to balance your, how much you give to them and how much you put into your own, it's an extra challenge. But if you have to work, which I've always had to up till now, you need to find a job that is flexible, very flexible, that you feel comfortable to be yourself at, where you can be your crazy artist self and it's okay, and that will let you come and go without any guilt trips. Like flexible, basically. Flexible in yourself.
Totally.
Yeah, that's my
anything
advice.
that's like temp related, and like something. I had always seen the promo ads and thought they were a bit of a scam, but working in events is really good, because obviously each event is its own job essentially. So the company doesn't put the pressure on you to always be available to them. And also because those companies, they need staff that are on the ball and are capable. And so it's not just about them trusting you, they have to trust you. That's how the industry works. They don't have time or resources to train you. So they just need to hire people who have the skills necessary and that have a reputation for being reliable, and hope it works out for them. And the thing is that because of the type of work, they have so many staff at their fingertips. So it is very easy for them to just go, you know what, you didn't work out, I'm not booking you again because I have 30 other people asking for this job. Yeah, so it's
40
well
other people,
paid.
yeah.
But when you do well, they'll just stop taking people from the queue and they'll book you on everything, because they don't want to have to waste their time testing whether or not people are reliable. Yeah,
they don't want to take the risk.
They were booking me 3 times a day, and I was like, guys, I'm so tired, I can't do any more gigs. And they're like, oh my God, please, we'll pay you like 10 an hour extra just to do this. So I was like, okay. I'm going to be shit. I would say to them, like, I'm not going to do a good job. And they're like, we don't care. Like, you show up. That's fine.
Yeah, because for them, they want to make sure they get the client again, and they know that the clients like you. So, like, if you're listening to this and you're a younger person and you're thinking, but how do I be good? What does that mean? Let me tell you the answer to that. At all times, first of all, do not be on your phone at all. chuck your phone away, lock it up. Second of all, at all times, be doing something unless you're on your designated break. So if you're standing there and you don't know what to do, that's fine. Ask someone, can I do anything?
Or
this
take
is
initiative.
as simple as it is. Just be doing something. Yeah, clean something, empty a bin, clean a surface. If you don't know what to do or you can't clean anything, which is unlikely, ask someone though and just say, what can I do? Because then you're being useful at all times. If you're just standing there waiting to be told, you won't get booked again. And I told my nieces this when they were little, and they've all had stable jobs ever since. And they've to the point where their employers are like, "Don't ever leave me." And I'm like, "Let them go."
It's true though. Like I remember when I was working in that job, new people would come in, and the worst thing was when there is so much work to do with an event. Like you're packing up, you're dealing with clients, everything is happening at the same time, and it is so busy. And to watch a new staff member stand there stationary in the middle of all this hubbub, like a hurricane is happening around them, they're doing nothing, and they were looking at me like, yes, the advice is ask what to do. Like ask what to do when there is an obvious choice of something to do. But standing in the middle of a billion people, stacking chairs, getting tablecloths, answering questions, directing people, emptying bins, and then being like, can I help? Like, yeah, you fucking can. Just do anything right now. It's really that simple. And the worst, like when you're working hard in events from the second you arrive, like if you arrive 15 minutes early, you're going to be working for free for 15 minutes because they're going to ask you to do something. When someone is standing on their fucking phone like this, and I mean, my whole job is on my phone. I love my phone. But to watch someone else do this while you work your fucking ass off, and you know they're getting paid the same above award rate that you are. You're like, no. You do not get like $50 an hour for standing on your phone while I work my ass off.
You won't get away with it. And here's the thing. If you are signing up for a cash job, which is not your main focus, it's just for the cash, while you're there, and this is advice I got when I was young and it's really good, whatever you're doing, while you're doing that thing, do it at 100%. So whether it's cleaning, whether it's hanging out with your nan or pop, whether it's, your own art, whatever it is you're doing in this moment, like call it being present or whatever, but whatever you are doing, whether it's homework, whether it's work, be 100% on that. Don't be half in your painting, half at, on your phone, half socializing, half this, half that, because then everything's half-assed and nothing's good. So if you just simplify everything down to whatever you're doing, do it 100% and be focused on it, everything will get better. Because if you're like, imagine if while we're doing, I think actually in our first few episodes, we actually realized we were kind of like looking at notes and not really focused on the conversation. And we've been learning as we're going. It's not as cool. It wasn't as fun, but we were, trying to figure it all out. It's a little example, but if you just focus 100% on whatever you're doing, it will grow and everything will grow. Oh, what's that saying? The grass is greener where you water
like
it.
That. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like not greener on the other side. It's not green everywhere else. Yeah. It's green where you water it. So focus in. And if you have to be at a shit job for a bit, be there. That's where you're at, and that's okay. We've all been there. We're all there. Like I was there last week, and I have been a casting director. I have owned my own bar and theatre. Life is complicated. Things change. Don't get angry. Don't be resentful. Don't think you're above anything. Just deal with what you're dealing with and be 100%. And when I had a battle with that recently with myself because I felt like I was going backwards. But then when I shifted my mentality to gratitude, I got an amazing gig out of it. So you never know. You got to stay positive and you got to be present. And just if you're there being on your phone, slacking off, then you don't deserve that job anyway. You know what I mean? It's not like you're there as a charity to them. Just because you want to be a musician or an artist, or you are a musician or an artist or whatever, everything works together. And none of us, like, listen to some memoirs, autobiographies of, like, artists you love, unless you're Paris Hilton. Even she had to work, though. Like, you know what I mean? It's just the way it is. So you never think you're above it, but also you can't give your life to life.
It's juggling. And I like to think of it now, I think since being online, because when you watch people online, you think, oh, if you've got 1 million followers, like I don't have 1 million followers, obviously, but people still say to me like, wow, you have so many followers. Like I have nearly 80,000 on Instagram, which yes, I've worked hard for that. And yes, it's a lot of followers, but I think of a lot of followers as like people who have 2 million followers, you know? It's all relative,
it's all relative.
But I think people assume that anyone with some sort of following online is raking it in. And the reality is, just from being in the online space, like you don't make anything from having 1 million followers on Instagram. You have to do sponsorships. You have to work with people. And most of the people doing that don't want to do that. They want the money. Do they want to make a video for some major brand that is a multi-billion-dollar business? Of course they don't. And I think that's what's frustrating sometimes as a creative when I do accept sponsorships, and most of my followers are like, congratulations, we know that this means you're growing or whatever. But some people will complain, oh, I had to watch a 2-minute ad in the middle of that video. Like, welcome to the skip button. Like, you can just get your mouse and do this. But okay. But the whole reason you're getting a free video right now, I made this video that took me 30 plus hours. You get it for nothing. And
you have to pay for Netflix, you have to pay for Binge.
Nothing. And also I had to do something I didn't want to do. Like, yes, I pick brands that I believe in. I try to work with sustainable companies and small businesses, etc. But I still don't want to make a 90-second ad for my YouTube video. I want to make my YouTube video without an ad. But the reality is I can't afford to. If I want to be a full-time content creator, I have to accept sponsorships. And I think of that now a bit like, it's like the dentist is sponsoring you being an artist. When you go and do a shift for them, it's like spending a day doing an integration in a YouTube video.
That's so cool that you just said that, because I actually wrote that on the artwork plaque underneath. I wrote Banksia Beach Dental proudly sponsors local artist Gabrielle. And when I wrote that, I thought it's not just about the paintings, it's about the job too, because that money is going to get me through the next 3 months while I go to the snow so I can drink beers, every day.
It's the little things.
Thank you very much. But I'll be making videos too, But honestly, they're sponsoring my life, and I'm like, it's the shifts as well. And I think the key thing when you're trying to navigate this, because if you're going to work temp jobs and stuff like that, you will be a competent person, and they're going to want you to do more because, of course, they want good people. You can't blame them. So you have to be really clear about what you want and what you can and can't do. So it's very important. Like, I don't know if definitely not everyone struggles with this, but whoever does struggle with, saying what you need and being assertive, you need to figure out, okay, for me to be happy and for me to see this in a positive light, I can only do 2 days a week. Then tell them that. Say, I'm looking for 2 days a week. Boom. Yeah. Done. And then you're gonna appreciate it. And on your days off, it gives you that extra drive because you don't want to be there, and you get more motivated to do your own thing. So, a part-time job can be really positive. You just said something before, and it made me think of something, and I don't want to forget it. You were saying how now in your YouTube channel, you still have to do some things you don't want to do. And it's interesting because it's all relative, right? So when I was in casting, most people that I meet, most people still now, think that's such a glamorous, cool job. And yes, it's a great job to be casting for TV. Very interesting, cool. But half the time, I was doing things I didn't want to do, like data uploads, wardrobe forms, deal memos. The other half of the time, I'd say 25% of the time, I was doing jobs I didn't believe in morally. Then 25% of the time was great. So only 25% of that job, which seems cool, was actually really fun. And so it's like, no matter what you do, you need to have a realistic approach. And I think also gratitude. It all comes down to gratitude. So no matter what job, like someone can be working as a top executive at a TV channel and be mad because they're not, in the circus. Or someone can be, you know what I mean? And they're like, this sucks. I always want to be in the circus. But someone else can be like, oh, it sucks. I always want to be a TV executive. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. You can either choose to be grateful and enjoy it and make the most of it, or change it if you don't like it. Like, for example, my partner, she's been working in a job she does not like, and it's been for the money. And she's finally left, and now she's looking for something new. yay. So you got to reassess and you got to look into your own self. And if you want to be a full-time artist, then there's steps to doing that. But just be warned, even when you are working full-time in the creative industry, it's not always this like idolized version. So, you know, there will be times when there's stuff you don't want to do, you have to do. Like even paintings, like there's some paintings I don't necessarily want to do or love, but I'll do it. And it's all up to you ultimately. I don't know where I'm going.
I think you're making a really great point, and I don't like. I want to carry it on because it's true. Like, no matter if you're pursuing your dream or not everything in life just isn't there. We say the pursuit of happiness, but there isn't a point that you get to with pursuing your dreams where everything is 100% happy. There's always hard work. There's always shitty days.
That's right.
There's always elements that aren't fun, and that's what actually makes it worth it, though, I think, because you can't enjoy the good times if you always have them, because you can't recognize, it's like, you know, you can't recognize it while you're in it. Does that make sense? When you felt crappy or been bored, you appreciate being happy.
Yes, you need both. It's polarity. You can't have white without black. Like, you can't see without shade. And it's like, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be an actor. And then when I was 25, I was on the stage of the Sydney Theatre Company doing one-woman show, and I was acutely aware that I had achieved a dream, and I was very proud of myself. But it was so much work, and it was not at all how I expected it to be. Like, I did end up getting paid MEAA rates. I got put in a hotel. I got taxi transfers, and I did a one-woman show. I was on the billboard. It was all me. Amazing. Tick, 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 right? But the reality of it, the feeling of it was like hard work, like stress, confusion. You know, it didn't seem as like what I imagined it would feel like or look like. And that was weird. And so when you're in it, whatever you've imagined might not be how, you might not feel how you think you will. And I think it's really important to constantly stop and analyze how you actually feel. And if you actually enjoy it or not, because sometimes your body will guide you. Like, if you actually enjoy something, you know. So just do that. And it's okay if it's different. It's okay if it's not what you thought. Like, you can have a dream for forever. And then when you achieve it, you go, oh, so I don't actually enjoy this feeling. And that's okay. You can then go, what do I enjoy? And it might be gardening. You know what I mean? And this is back to that COVID thing. Like, I'm happiest when I'm in the garden. Then just keep being in the garden. You know, and just see what happens. And people always say, do what makes you happy. And I think this is what I'm saying. But, you know, it's not always like you should be grateful and suck it up. That's not, I think sometimes you have like an idealized version of something in your mind and it's not actually what you should be doing. And it's only when you do it that you realize and you go, oh, hold on a minute. And it's okay to change your mind. Like,
this is,
it's okay.
This is such a fantastic point. Thank you for bringing this up, because I think the way that I know, because I used to think, how do I know? Having tried a bunch of things, I was like, how do I know when I've made the right decision, especially if you're a kid? And I think a lot of creative people are good at a lot of things. There'll be some things they're not great at, but they'll try a lot of stuff and they'll be really good at a lot of things. And anyone who's involved in that project or that direction will really push, be like, you're talented at this, do this. But then you're like, well, what do I choose? Because I'm good at a bunch of stuff, which sounds, I think when I was younger and that happened to me, I felt a bit arrogant, like, oh, that's not really a real problem, but it can be when you're an artist, making a choice.
I'm good at everything. Damn it.
Because I did try to spin all the plates and do a bunch of things at the same time. You can't. You will be mediocre at everything. And you, while you're at high school, you might find you the top of everything. I was really good at swimming. I was really good at surf life saving. I was doing really well at school. I became house captain. And when you're at high school, it's tiring. It took a lot of work. But I made it to the top of the top, you know. And then I went to university, and there was a lot of top of the top. I was competing with everyone who was top of the top, and suddenly I wasn't top of the top anymore. I still did really well at uni and stuff, but I wasn't making it to 100% or getting 110% for my grades and things. I had to work even harder, and I was like, I can't do that for everything. I have to make a choice. How do you choose? Honestly, for me, I found out what I liked because I can't stop myself. YouTube, it doesn't matter if I don't earn any money. It doesn't matter if I don't get views.
It's not a choice.
To do it anyway. Even when I hate it, I still feel motivated to do it. Sometimes I have to rethink how I'm going to do it because I know it's not sustainable or I'm not enjoying it anymore, whatever, but I don't want to stop. Whereas music, for example, everyone keeps saying, when are you going to sing again? You know, my family really wants me to be a musician. My friends really want me to be a musician. My followers have seen me sing. People are constantly asking me, when are you going to go back? The thing is, I love singing. I love opening my mouth and making the sounds. But I really disliked the job of being a singer. I hated the late nights. I hated the uncertainty of it. I hated how unreliable people were. I hated that it wasn't paid well enough. Like I had to make myself do it as a job. Didn't have to make myself sing. I would get in the shower, I'd walk around my house and drive in my car and singing would happen naturally. Gaining the skill and the craft aspect of it was easy. Doing the job, I hated it. And now I've realized like, I'm happy to be a singer part-time, but it will never be my full-time job because I don't enjoy it, and I will not be able to make myself do it enough to reach the goals that I had in mind when I was younger because I don't have it in me. And it's not that I don't have the talent or even the skills, it's that I don't love it enough to maintain it. Yeah.
You don't want to.
Yeah. But
that's
it can
okay.
be hard as an artist to tell people when you're talented at something and when the opportunities are there. It's very hard for people to accept, especially people who are supporting you, because there's not that many people. When you tell someone who's supporting you as an artist that you don't love it, that's really hard. It can be really hard.
Well, when I decided to close down the theatre, I lost a lot of people and it was really hard. But it was like I miss it every day, honestly, I do. But creating a creative space and directing plays and telling stories and, you know, working with actors, all of that, the best. The financial stress overcame me. It was too hard. So if I was to ever do it again, I know, okay, I can only do that if someone gives me a building and then I will do it again. 100% fine, and a wage. Like I need money. It needs to be funded. So I was trying to do it myself, working dental nursing, doing this, running the bar. It was hectic. It was like 18 hours a day, every single day, crazy. So now in hindsight, I can go, okay, the part like you just said, you like singing, but you didn't like the working late and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, if I am to do that again, I now have a degree in theatre. I've done all this shit. This is how it's going to work. And it's like the same for you. If you like singing, then you can sing for you and you can sing at home. You know, no one can take that from you and you can enjoy it for what it is and you don't owe anyone anything just because you're good at it. Like I am a good actor, but just because I'm good at it and I've invested time and money into it and other people too have put energy into me doing that, doesn't mean I have to go on with it. Like at the end of the day, our lives are our own and we don't have to justify anything, whether it's our choices in our job, whether it's our sexual preferences, whether it's how we identify in terms of our gender. No one's entitled to that information. So focus in, actually analyze when you're doing something, how do I feel? And you know what I've found? A lot of artists have never had the time to actually experiment. Yeah. Like we're so busy trying to achieve. It's like I actually really love playing guitar and singing. I'm not good at it. I haven't spent much time doing it, but it's fun to me. I enjoy it. So like I've picked up a guitar and I'm having, it's really fun. But I don't want anyone to listen or pay me for a ticket, you know what I mean? But I'm just experimenting. It's like baking, gardening and living on the island. I've had time to experiment and I've analysed how, what, like you said, what do I feel like doing without making the decision to do it? And for me, it keeps coming back to making videos and making paintings. Like once I get started, I can't stop editing videos, creating videos, filming, and painting. I just can't stop. I don't want to stop. If someone interrupts me, I'm like, damn it, go away. Bring me food or leave.
That needs to be on a t-shirt too.
Bring me food or leave. That's great.
I think that would be amazing.
We should make it on an artist's apron. Or what do musicians wear? On a strap for a guitar.
Strap would be amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
I want a 70s style tee with the band around the neck and the arm that's different colour and then writing just in an old style font, like a print font. Bring me food or leave.
I love it.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Huge love to everybody who is on board so far. Your feedback is so fun. It's absolutely amazing to hear what you're enjoying about the show and how inspired you're feeling. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Please remember to hit subscribe on YouTube and spread the word. Your support means the world to us, and we're absolutely thrilled to be on this journey together. If you've got ideas for season 2, feel free to DM us or email us. Don't miss episode 5 next Tuesday, and if you are listening live, you can catch us in the YouTube comments. See you then.